What if the roles we play in our church community weren't meant to be a solo act, but more like a group effort? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating shift in thinking, moving away from just individual responsibility and towards a shared community calling. Let's jump right in. Okay, picture this. A brand new minister or catechist shows up at your parish. They're fired up, full of personal zeal, ready to hit the ground running. But pretty soon, there's some friction, a little misunderstanding, maybe even some real conflict starts to bubble up. So is the problem the person, or could it be the process that brought them there in the first place?
So first, let's unpack this idea of a vocations lone journey. We're going to look at the common pitfalls that pop up when callings are treated like a solo, kind of top-down mission.
Yeah, this go-it-alone approach, it creates a lot of really predictable problems. New ministers can feel like they've just been parachuted in from above, like total outsiders. That personal passion, it can curdle into a kind of self-focused heroism, and the roles themselves can end up feeling like just a stopgap to help out a busy priest. The result? You get competition, burnout, and this deep sense of solitude that honestly just discourages anyone else from ever wanting to step up.
And this quote, wow, it just brilliantly illustrates the end result. The source warns that this solo approach can create these little kingdoms inside the parish. The liturgy people over here, the charity group over there, the catechists in your corner, all working in their own silos, super protective of their turf. It ends up fragmenting the community instead of actually uniting it.
All right, so if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, the source proposes a completely different model, what it calls a community vocation, where a calling is actually born from the community and is supported by the entire group.
So the key is right here in the definition. A community vocation isn't about one person pursuing their own calling off in a corner. Nope. It's a calling that is identified, discerned, and nurtured by the community to serve the actual real-world needs of that very same community. See how the focus totally shifts from me to us? And this model just completely flips the script on all those weaknesses we just talked about. Nobody's an outsider anymore because they're chosen from within. The service is based on what the community actually needs. The joys, the burdens, the workload, it's all shared. And that competition, fear, and solitude, it just kind of vanishes, replaced by a genuine, shared sense of purpose.
Now, this all sounds pretty great in theory, right? But you're probably wondering, how do you actually do it? Well, the good news is, our source doesn't just point out the problem. It gives us a concrete, really practical proposal for how to make this change happen.
Okay, now get this, because this first step is pretty radical. Instead of just waiting around for lone volunteers to raise their hands, the idea is to proactively gather a big, diverse group of potential candidates before any training even starts. This move right here forces everyone to shift from an individual mindset to a group mindset, from the absolute get-go. It's like building the team before you've even decided who's playing what position. So the path forward builds on itself, logically. Step 1, you gather that group to create a team identity. Then step 2, you create flexible training together that actually respects that people have busy, real lives. And finally, step 3, you start collaborating beyond your own parish walls, breaking down those silos to act as one wider church.
I absolutely love this quote from the source. It suggests that sometimes the best candidates are the busiest people, like mothers, because when they participate, it sends this incredibly powerful message. Faith isn't something separate from the messiness and demands of our daily lives. It proves that a life of family and work is absolutely not incompatible with deep community involvement.
Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds like some radical new management theory, but what's so powerful about this model is that it's not new at all. It's actually got deep roots in the way the very first Christian communities operated.
Let's just look at this case study from the Acts of the Apostles. The early church had a very real, practical problem on its hands. A specific group in their community, the Greek-speaking widows, was getting overlooked when food was handed out. This wasn't some big theological debate, it was a real, on-the-ground logistical need that was causing division.
So, how did they solve it? Well, their solution is a perfect blueprint for this community vocation idea. Step 1, the community itself identified the need. Step 2, the community chose 7 respected people from among themselves to handle it, and only then, as the final step, did the apostles come in to affirm and commission them. The calling came from the ground up, not the top down. It's amazing.
And all of this brings us to the ultimate purpose, the real why behind this entire shift in thinking.
because this is about way more than just running a parish more efficiently. It points to a really profound spiritual vision. Okay, so the ultimate purpose of any Christian calling is holiness. But here's the kicker. You can't become a saint by yourself. The source argues that holiness isn't a solo project. It's a team sport. To capture this idea, the author coins this brilliant new Italian word, same. It's a mashup of santi, which means saints, and insieme, which means together. The goal isn't saint me first, or saint me and forget about you. The goal is saints we. It's a shared journey toward holiness, together. And this just lays it out so clearly, contrasting two completely opposing worldviews. The world's logic tells us that success is individual, that I have to save myself. But the gospel's logic is radically different. It says, no, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and we are called to build God's kingdom together.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. In a culture that just relentlessly celebrates the individual, the self, the me, could embracing a deep, committed, and shared we be the most countercultural and transformative act of faith we can possibly undertake? Definitely something to think about.